So that's why I had to go to my friends. I walk in and he's standing in the kitchen like this.
Arms crossed. Okay.
He ready to end it all. Okay?
Oh.
End it all. This is a Nigerian man. He was like, hey, if she come in here on some, oh, you need to do this, it's going to be what it is. I could just feel, I know him.
Welcome to Rich Mom, Poor Mom, where we discuss motherhood from two different perspectives. I'm Precious, a real estate professional in the St. Louis area with two lovely kids, and I'm the mom that's making ends meet in this economy.
And I'm Jamelle. I'm a Harvard PhD working in tech, and I'm a mom of two, and I live in Atlanta, Georgia.
Hey. So let's start off with the topic of the day, the newborn stage. The newborn stage is from the time a baby is born to about 3 to 4 months, and it's notoriously hard, almost like a boot camp phase. These little babies only sleep 2 to 3 hours at a time and require feeding every 3 hours. So, of course, this would lead to sleep deprivation where parents don't get a full night's sleep for a few months. The newborn stage is also the postpartum period for the parent who gave birth. So there's the physical healing from going through childbirth, which also includes hormonal shifts, fatigue, mood swings, and anxiety. There's also that identity shift. It can feel like the world changes overnight. So parents may feel disconnected from their old life and routine, understandably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the newborn stage is serious business, okay? So let's look at some data. So sleep deprivation can persist for years, with mothers potentially experiencing reduced sleep quality and quantity up to 6 years after the first child. The longest continuous sleep stretch for new mothers can fall to just about 2 hours in the first 3 months of having a baby. So for the first 3 months, a lot of women are only sleeping in 2-hour stretches.
Tragic.
Right? Frontiers in Psychology finds that unfortunately a significant number of mothers experience postpartum depression, around 32%. Also, post-traumatic stress is nearly 50%. Also, according to parent data, nearly 30% of partners fall into marital distress during the first 18 months post-birth, and marriage satisfaction decline is most significant during the first year after the baby, with continued decline up to 24 months. Often, marriages are not recovering until once the children are older, according to the NIH.
Yeah. I mean, until the babies are starting to get a little independence, it's like it's almost like playing the blame game. Like, I am so exhausted. I don't want to do this. I do want to do this, but I'm so tired, and now I feel guilty, and I just wish somebody would help me. I feel like it don't really matter how much help you get.
Right.
When you tired and you don't want to do something, it's just like, oh my gosh, here we go again.
Yeah.
And then it becomes the blame game. Well, you need to do this so you can, and it's like, oh, well, we kind of both in it, ain't we?
Right. It's like you can't really be mad at the little baby in front of you.
Exactly.
So the only person you can really get mad at is the person that's with you. And so it's like you feel it in your soul. Like for my baby girl, it's like she goes deep into her spirit to cry in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. It's like not just a normal like, It's like she really found all the way deep into her toes. Like she's clearly like stretching for this, and she's yelling at the top of her lungs. Nice. And I'm in my deepest sleep. Okay? Deepest sleep. And it's like, I think this is a version of torture that they use in certain contexts, is like waking someone up in their deepest sleep and like in a very alarming, abrupt way. I think that's like well known to be one of the most terrible experiences you can have as a human being.
It truly is. It truly is. And I've had those times where I'm just like, I don't see how people with multiple kids are doing it. I can't see.
You have multiple kids.
Yeah, but I wasn't doing it at the same time. Actually.
Oh, I see.
So I experienced this whole sleep deprivation and a lot of stress with my second baby, but that first one, oh my goodness, my little baby.
He's such a sweet baby.
He was. Oh my.
He was actually easy.
He was very easy. He never really cried.
Yeah.
And like I could be as loud as I wanted to. I could kind of do what I wanted. Yeah. And it was just like he was just riding. He was just there. He was just like in the background, like, hey, what we doing?
I remember him on FaceTime because you and I will sit on FaceTime together and just be chilling and not really saying anything. And he just became a part of the routine. I mean, he was just in the screen.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, this is going to be easy when I have a baby.
Yeah. But that's how they get you. Because that second one?
No. But also your baby is like you. And you're like a much more chill person, which is why your baby is chill. Me and my husband, there's no chill. These are warriors.
Oh, y'all two babies
These
together?
kids come to the world with something to prove.
Yeah, it gets crazy.
Yes.
Let's get into our story time segment. Jamelle, do you have a rich mom, poor mom story to share for the week?
Yes, I do. I'm trying to think about where to get this. So I'm going to set the scene for you.
Okay.
So we were living in Boston. I had taken the train from Boston to Providence by myself, left the baby at home with my husband because we had gotten into a big argument. And I had stayed for the weekend with my friend. My friend is a gay guy, and he and his partner were extremely supportive. They didn't ask me many questions, but they also let me know that my husband did not call them. So I was like, did he call y'all? Did he check on me? No calls, no text. Oh. So I'm down bad. I'm, crying in the shower. I'm feeling like everything is over. I done told my friends, and most of my friends at this time they definitely didn't have kids. Most of them are either single or at least not married, so they might be dating someone seriously. And that is partly when I realized that I needed some married friends, or at least I needed to let my friends know that this stage of life, the support I was going to need was going to be very different. So anyways, I'm still setting the scene. So I'm in Providence. The place I'll tell the story from is I get on the train to head back. And remember, I'm like in my feelings. We had a big argument. We haven't spoken to each other. I'm headed back home. I'm looking out the window on the train, looking at the trees ride by. I'm listening to music. It probably was raining. And I remember I was listening to this song on repeat. You remember this song? There's a stranger in
my gosh.
That's Took a while to figure out. There's no way he could be.
You said, girl, I ain't know nothing about what she was talking about, but I felt it.
When we were children, I was like, this is a cool song. When you get grown, I was like, he wouldn't touch me like that.
Oh my gosh.
He wouldn't treat me like. Yes, I was down bad. I was listening to this song on repeat. So I'm an extremely consistent person. So I was like, I just be really, when I get like really emotional, I go like really deep into the emotions. So it's like probably why I can be prone to anxiety and depression, because I spiral into it. Like I'm starting to think about, man, everything, then you start to re-narrate everything. I'm like, maybe he was always like this. And maybe, the signs were there, I'm thinking about all these things because we had gotten into an argument and he was like, just go. And I was like, I'm going to go. And then I left.
Oh, no.
Yes. And then he did call and check on me. So I was like, wow, he's probably glad I left.
You know what, though? At least he kept the baby.
But
go ahead. Because some of them ain't doing that, but go ahead.
That's, you know what, I will say, so I'm on the train, I'm looking out the window, I'm crying, I'm down bad. And the funny thing is when you're on like public transportation and down bad, it's always like an experience because people be looking at you from the sides. And like, if you've ever been on a train and like crying, there's also always like a woman who will like make eye contact with you and then like mouth something to you like, are you okay?
Girl.
And I'm like, no, I'm not okay. But also, I don't know. So I think about halfway through this train ride, it occurred to me to think about what I wanted to get. I said, what am I going to say to him when I get home if he is not regretful? So I was like, we don't get into a lot of arguments, and he's a Nigerian man. And so the one thing about him is I'm like, he's not going to completely plan. I don't know if he's willing to concede. I don't know if he's going to be coming into this with the mentality that he's going to apologize for something. And I said to myself, wow, maybe it's his turn not to concede. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I should think about this from his perspective. And let me ask myself, what could I apologize for? Because I said to myself, do you want to be right or do you want to be married? And remember, I'm still in like this sort of self-pity party where I'm like, he did you wrong. And I'm texting all my single friends and they say the right things. They're like, girl, we got you. We'll come and get the baby. You don't need him. You can do bad by yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so, so everybody ready to ride. And then I said to myself, what if he is not willing to lose? Am I willing to lose? And then I really started reflecting on the year. So remember, the baby was like 11 months old. So I was like, you know what? I had a very difficult pregnancy. And it was all about me. He had to take care of me. It was rightfully so, but it was all about me. Then I had an extremely, uniquely difficult birth. I think I was in labor for 10 days. I had prodromal labor. Like statistically very rare situation. Please do not let this scare you. I had an extremely difficult labor, which through the entire thing, of course, he's my partner. He was with me. First few months of the baby, both of us had a hard time. We talked about, we were in COVID, right? 3 months of typical newborn stage ended up being more like 6 months for me. I had a really, really hard time, coming back from all of this. And I just started to reflect on those things. I said to myself, the truth is he's had a really hard year as well, and the marriage has had a hard time. So I'm on the train and I'm thinking about this. I think I was writing it out and I was like, during my pregnancy, because I was like having such a hard time, I couldn't do laundry. I already don't really cook. So he does all the cooking. So he ended up our usual breakdown is that he does a lot of the food, grocery shopping, cooking, and I do all the cleaning. Because I was pregnant, slowly the cleaning responsibility started to also go on him. And so I looked up, I was on this train, I looked up and I thought about it and I said, wait, I have been so wrapped up thinking about my experience as a new mom that I hadn't really thought about what's been happening on his end. And, the truth is, this was around a year after we had a baby. He was still doing all the laundry. He was still doing all the grocery shopping. He was still doing all the cooking. Everything was still, he was still supporting the family in maybe an imbalanced way, which is maybe unique to us, because a lot of women have the exact opposite experience where they're doing too much and their husband is like neglecting them. But I didn't have that experience. And so I had to take some responsibility and realize that, wait, he's tired. And I think he's reached a breaking point where, you know, pregnancy is 10 months. It's been over 10 months since the baby came. Like we're going in 2 years of him really like carrying the family on his back. And I thought, I owe him an apology. And not only that, I'm going to tell him I'm ready to, I'm feeling healthy. I'm feeling like I'm able to sleep now. I feel like I've been working well. He had been helping me out on the weekend so I could get back caught up at work. And I'm going to start pulling my weight. I'm going to start going to the grocery store. I'm going to start helping more with the baby. And yeah. And so I get off the train. I head into our apartment. Remember, tiny house living. The issue with like having an argument when you live in like a tiny house is you can't really get away from the person. So that's why I had to go to my friends. I walk in and he's standing in the kitchen like this.
Arms crossed. Okay.
He ready to end it all. Okay.
Oh.
End it all. This is a Nigerian man. He was like, hey, if she come in here on some, you know, oh, you need to do this, it's going to be what it is. I could just feel, I know him, and we've never really gotten in that type of argument before. And I was like, I could just feel that this was a make or break argument for us. So I walk into the house, he in the kitchen like this. And I just knew this was make or break. And I looked him in the eyes and I just said, I'm really sorry. I just want to apologize for how you're feeling. I want you to know that I'm so grateful for you and the man that you are and the father that you are. And I'm really sorry. And do you know, I think tears just start coming down his face.
Oh.
And I think he was tired. Okay. And we just kind of sat there. And then we laughed because I was like, you was finna end it all. He was like, he just started laughing. He was like, I literally was ready. He was like, Jamelle, I'm not sure you understand. Because he knew, I think at that point, he did know that I was on my way. Like I was on the train. I had made it on the train safely and everything. And so he was preparing himself for me to walk in, I guess. And he, you know, and so, yeah, so I'm telling that story because that was a very important, pivotal moment in my marriage. And we really had a hell of a journey that first year of parenting. And it's just really simple and maybe natural for me to sit here and say, you know, I'm the woman, I birthed his kids, like everything's about me. And that can be true. But, you know, sometimes I've learned as a married woman that sometimes it is his turn, and it's very rare. I will give you, you know, I will admit this has only happened to us like a couple times. But it was pivotal, and I've learned that when you're married, when you get to those pivotal points where it's make or break for one person, it doesn't matter if that specific topic didn't mean a lot to you. If it meant a lot to your partner and it's worth walking away for them, it's time to take it seriously, and it's time to pretty much concede to whatever they need to hear in that moment. And I think some people miss this. Some people really like, it'll be, you know, you could look, I'm be honest with you, I don't even remember what sparked the argument. That's how simple it was. Like, I don't even remember how I got from staying at my own place to taking the train to visit my friends. Like, I don't even remember. That's how trivial, like that's how it didn't mean a lot to me. It meant something to him though. And I bet you he could tell you exactly what happened and exactly what I said and exactly why he put his foot down and decided to like say, you can go, you know what I'm saying? And I think, yeah, that's something that some advice that I actually give to people often. My girlfriends will call me, they'll say, hey girl, he tripping. He did this and this and this. And I say, well, what was he saying when he did it? And then they say, no, he's like, I don't know what's gotten into him. It ain't even a big deal, because if you really think about it, and they start going into this whole narrative, and I say, wait. I think this is a big deal to him, and I think you need to let him win. And then, and it doesn't happen, like I said, it doesn't happen often, but sometimes they call me back and they like, girl, he was finna go to his mama house all over, some random thing that meant nothing. And I'm like, it meant nothing to you, but that was a big deal to him. And if you didn't concede, that could have been a start of the breakdown of a marriage. So that's my story for the week, Precious.
Wow. That was beautiful. Mm-hmm. My story was not nearly as deep as that. And you know what? I don't really know who conceded in my story. So
just get into it. Tell the story for the week.
Yeah. So mine was a little more trivial, I guess. So the way that it went was, I was not working when I got pregnant. I was very unhappy in my job. Mom had just passed. I'm like, you know what? If I don't have to work, I won't. And my husband said, hey, we don't need you to work, so I didn't have to, thankfully. Oh my goodness, it was such a blessing. So what happened was, throughout this whole pregnancy, it was just like a lot of grieving. And it was, I guess from that point, it was just like me. Yeah, it was, I think when a person is going through grief, of course, you start to see things differently. And I started to see things from, I don't really care too much what's going on right now. So I'm just living life and I'm enjoying it. So I have the baby, my husband's working, we're trying to do the domesticated thing, but I'm new to this. And so I'm just like, hey, yeah, I know that I wasn't working today, but I still need you to provide some of the help around the house and this and that. And he wasn't feeling it. He said, no, you're not doing nothing else. And I'm like, okay. Whenever I had my baby, I was not working, thankfully.
Okay.
And so my baby was not too fussy. But this was my first baby. My mom had passed while I was pregnant. And so I was going through a lot of grief. I had a lot of feelings going on, especially, oh goodness. Oh, this is crazy.
Take your time.
When I had my first baby, I was not working, thankfully. But whenever I had him, or whenever I was pregnant with him, my mom had passed. So when he was born, I wasn't done grieving, and that really kind of shaped a lot of the emotions that I had. And I was kind of just like living day to day, like it's just me and my baby. And so there was some postpartum that came with that. And it was just like, you know what? I am just living for me. And of course I got this baby with me. And so he's just along for the ride. And so then there's my husband who's going to work every day. And, he working hard. He working hard for his money. And he bringing it home and he taking care of the family and everything. And he's just like, hey, you didn't clean up, or hey, you didn't do the dishes, dinner ain't ready, yada yada yada. And I'm just like, hey, I'm dealing with a lot over here. And he's like, yeah, so am I. And so it was a lot of tension.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I did not realize was that he was also going through his own grief. And with the birth of our baby, he was very, very paranoid. And so everything that the doctor said, oh, do this for the baby, he's taking it. And so one of the major things was he did not want me co-sleeping. And we went back and forth about this because I'm just like, hey, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. I was blessed to be able to nurse. And so that's what I did. I nursed the baby and we fell asleep, and that's how we did it.
Right.
My husband's like, I don't like you doing that. I think it's dangerous. You could do this. This could happen. And I'm like, okay. and so one night I was nursing the baby, and like we do,
Right.
he fell asleep and I fell asleep. Everybody was happy. And the way that I had it set up was I thought I had a nice little safeguard. The pack and play is right next to the bed. I didn't have one of the fancy ones, okay? So I had to make do with what I had. I had the pack and play right next to it, the one with the little bassinet and the changing table. And so if the baby rolled over, that's where he would go. And so that's not really what happened this one night. What ended up happening was we were sleeping. I hear a doom. And that was it.
Ain't no way.
All of a sudden, there was not even like, there was no point in time that I got to wake up before I see my husband jumping over me. Picture the way the Batman be jumping over them buildings and his cape just like is whipping behind him. That's what I saw. All I saw was a man jumping over me, and I'm like, what's going on? I hadn't even woke up yet. I don't know how he heard it, but he jumped over me so fast. He's looking on the floor. I'm like, what's going on? I hadn't even realized that the baby was gone.
The baby fell on the floor.
The baby was gone. The baby fell on the floor. And so I look down, and the baby's not crying. He's not crying. Again, amazing baby. But sometimes he was too chill. And so I heard a little whining. You know, he might have been startled, but he wasn't crying. So I'm still not picking up what's going on. And so my husband is now cradling the baby in his arms, and he is heated. He wouldn't even give me. I said, I'm so tired at this point, though. I'm exhausted. And I'm like, it's fine. He's all right. He's not crying. He could have got a concussion, and I told you not to sleep like this. I told you not to do this. And I said, okay, just give him here, and I'll feed him, and we can go back to sleep. He said no. He said no. Now, eventually, the baby gets hungry, and you got to give him back, because we wasn't giving him formula at that time. Because who's spending all this money on formula when you got the good stuff,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So I'm just like, I mean, you're going to have to give him back at some point. The point is, though, we had to pretty much figure out a way that we can work together on it, because I am not, unfortunately, I am a prideful person, and I'm working on it. But I'm not the type of person I'm just like, look, if it works, like we not, like either you gonna help me do it, or we just gonna have to do the same thing.
Right.
And so, I mean, I think he understood. He started to take the baby more, but yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if I conceded in that instance.
It does not sound like you
he
did.
conceded and realized how maybe he realized how exhausted I really was. I mean, the baby still slept with me. So, but Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
Mm,
I don't know. That's my story though.
that's your story. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But let's take a letter from one of our listeners. So the first one we have Taylor. She says, "Dear Rich Mom, Poor Mom, my name is Taylor. I'm an investment banker at Goldman Sachs in New York City. Yearly, I'm making about $275,000, give or take. My daughter is 18 months old. I am currently working 65 to 80 hours per week. I am killing it at work, but the rest of my life is in shambles. My husband is in medical school, so I am the higher earner. He is a more traditional man, so we just do not discuss this reality. Even with my mom helping, I am barely sleeping, and it feels like all I do is work. I hear women talking about having it all, but I think it's not possible for me. Question, will my marriage survive this phase?" I'm stuck on the 65 to 80 hours per week because I don't even know how that's possible.
Yeah.
But I guess I also don't know what it looks like to be an investment banker. So,
Yeah.
I mean, she killing it, but how does this relate to how you live?
I have friends in this situation. I know a lot of investment bankers, and I think that it's just an extremely stressful career, and it's the question of, will my marriage survive this phase? It's hard, right? We're talking about that with both of our experiences, is that it's really hard. Two things I think stand out. So the daughter is 18 months old, so not quite a newborn, but I think the point in this episode is that the newborn phase and the infant phase really does a number on marriages, and it can take a long time for the relationship to recover. And I think at 18 months, you're still in potentially, hopefully, the recovery stage, but you may very well still be in the stage of having a really hard time in your marriage. It sounds like that's where she is, where she's saying, her life is in shambles. I think, maybe the underlying issue here has more to do with her saying he's more traditional, so they don't really discuss the fact that she makes a lot more money. And so I guess there's two things. There's the marriage piece of this, which is, what do you want your marriage to look like? What do you want your relationship to look like? I know women who are doing some in between. So even though they are career women, they also have somewhat of a more traditional arrangement with their partner. And that does work for them in terms of just their dynamic. And if that is working for you, then it is possible for y'all to get through this. But I do think it doesn't sound like you're super comfortable with it, because you did say that you just don't discuss this reality. So I do think that, one of the first things that you might want to think about for yourself is just, what is your vision for motherhood and this stage of your life? Is it, are you happy, working this much and having such an amazing career? Or do you feel you're missing out on anything? Do you wish you had more time to spend with your baby and your husband? If not, that's also fine, right? People do make it work, honestly.
Yeah. I was that was also going to be my question. So people talk about having it all, but obviously everyone is different. So what does having it all mean to you? So when you're listening to other people and then you think to yourself, okay, well, I want to have it all too. What does that look like? And I know that it's very different for me, but I do agree that there is the aspect of her husband wanting to be more traditional.
Yeah.
And then what does that mean as well?
Yeah.
And I guess what does it mean for, like, I guess you're not having those conversations.
Right.
But is he willing to have those conversations, or is that just something that is like an unspoken?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, to this point of having it all, I think there was a recent Michelle Obama clip where she like said we need to be honest about the fact that you can't have it all, and I would say that's true in this situation, right? I don't think it's possible personally to work those types of hours and still be putting in all the time that you need for maintaining and investing in like a deep relationship with not just your partner but also your friends, your family. But the way the clip was not all bad. It's not to say, oh, you can't have it all, so just get over it. It's really to say that you have to think about these stages of parenting and marriage in phases. And you're in a very intense phase, and it will not always be this hard. An 18-month-old requires way more than a 5-year-old in terms of attention, in terms of you have to do everything for them, right? They're not potty trained, all these things. And sometimes you have to have some type of commitment between you and your partner that this particular phase is going to be rough. We're going to be climbing up a mountain together. It's not going to be fun. When we get up this mountain, though, it's going to be worth it. And it's like a building phase. And I feel like if you have a solid foundation of love and commitment, and you both understand what phase you're in, I think you can definitely get through it. But I do think it is unfair for people to make it seem like you can work this type of high stress job with a baby and a husband and have like an Instagrammable life. I do not think that is the reality for the people I know in real life.
I like that. I like that idea of phases. Then it kind of takes the pressure off you to have to do everything all at once. So I guess as long as you and your husband can have that conversation about here's where we are.
Yeah.
Here's maybe where we want to be at this point in time, and here's how we're going to work together to do it. I like the idea of that.
Yes. And can your marriage...
The conversation just needs to start.
Yeah. And can your marriage survive this phase? Absolutely. I will say you need, and this is maybe projecting from my story before, but you will need support. You need some friends who understand that the goal is for the marriage to survive. And that sounds like super simple, but I have found that most of my friends, and we actually sat down and had a conversation after this big fight I had with my husband where I was like, hey guys, like, so the truth is y'all were really holding me down and so helpful, and I appreciate the love and support. And I told them the truth. I said, look, here's the thing. We're going through a hard time right now. I don't know how we get through this, but I know that it can be done. And I know that the type of support you're offering me is not going to get me there. So I have a real baby now. Like, we're not in college anymore. Like, I have a real, as one of my friends said, she said, wow, this is grown people stuff. Like, this is a grown life. Like, because I was talking to her about this and I was like, truthfully, it's not productive for you to say, hey, you and the baby can just come stay with me. First of all, that's not the truth. You don't know nothing about babies. Like, this is not a realistic option, and that is not the option that I want. That is, I want to be pointing towards my marriage. I don't want to be moving away from it. This ain't no, oh girl, we just gonna leave him and find another man. This ain't that. So you do need to be around people who understand either the limitations in what they can offer you, or hopefully a few people who do have some experience getting through some tough phases in marriage who can tell you how to do it. For real.
Okay. Preacher.
For real. It can be done. You want to read? Yeah, let's read the next letter from Jennifer. So we had 2 letters because we had multiple people relating to this topic. Dear Rich Mom, Poor Mom, my name is Jennifer. I live in Atlanta, Georgia with my husband and newborn baby. We are in the thick of newborn sleep deprivation right now. We are both management consultants and have similar salaries with a household income around $260,000 per year. This is our first baby. Congratulations to y'all. So we are still learning so much, but I feel like we are crushing it on the parenting side. Good. We have a great schedule and are managing smooth transitions back to work, but it feels like the marriage side is not so much our focus right now. I have heard this is normal. We basically only talk about logistics like the 3-month-old sleep schedule or feeding schedule or nanny to-dos. Question for you two. Is this just our life for now, or are we failing at the married couple part? Signed, a sleepy mom. Okay, Precious, go ahead.
Jennifer, first of all, the fact that you and your husband are even having these conversations, the fact that you're talking to each other about the baby and both contributing, you are doing a very good job at the married part. Yes. This is what your life is supposed to be based around with such a young baby. Like you're still new at this. Mm-hmm. And this is your life partner.
Yeah.
Contributing in this piece of life that you've made.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a failure at all. I think you guys are doing great. I love to see it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think, and to your point, this is just life right now. Again, I think one of the best pieces of advice I got when I was trying to find my life partner was that the way you move through transitions is going to make or break every relationship. So this is a huge transition. You are both transitioning into parenthood. Your marriage is transitioning into being two people to now having a third person just hanging out all the time. And so that transition is really what we're talking about, right? And that transition is it can make or break your entire relationship. And it does. We see this. People say, oh, you had a baby. People have babies and then they break up. That's because it's a huge transition. And if you don't have a solid foundation and you go through a huge transition, everything breaks. It sounds like you have a great foundation, Jennifer. It sounds like you're saying the transitions back to work are going smoothly. Y'all are talking about sleep schedules, feeding schedules, nanny to-dos. This is the marriage right now. You are, like Precious said, your partners in life. I think this is great. I think the thing that you should be patient and kind to yourself with is being a married woman and being a mom is new to you. It's not going to look how it used to look. When you were, previously without kids, you might have a certain way that you relate to your husband, certain types of way you like to look, like how you like to move, how you like to touch, how you like to interact, how whatever it is, that is changing. And it doesn't mean you won't, quote unquote, get that back, but usually it's going to transform into something different. I would say maybe approach this with a level of curiosity. Keep an open mind and think about what new version of this is going to come. And be somewhat patient, because you got to get to know each other, and you're in the newborn phase, so you're still sleep deprived. You don't even know yourselves yet. You probably don't even like the baby yet. I mean, the baby is screaming. Come on, be for real. There's some nights where you're really looking at this baby like, wow. Wow. You haven't even gone through the toddler. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever had a toddler swing on you? Okay.
From your neck when you tired,
right,
and already broken down, they choking you. They little fingers are digging into you, and it's like, what are we doing?
My baby girl she is 12 months, and I'm trying to help her out. You have a diaper rash, ma'am. I'm trying to clean in between the rolls, and she's rolling everywhere. She's fighting me as if I'm doing something to her, like hurting her. And I'm tired. I got off work all day for you. Picked you up from school. You don't want to be doing this. Driving in the car, driving home, crying the whole time, just yelling. Imagine you get off work, you already tired from work, the whole ride home, somebody in the background just screaming. Precious no, because she be screaming, I be on the phone.
Oh my gosh.
And I have to just continue my life because this is the second kid. And I'm like, people will call me in the car, be, oh, you busy? No, this is what it is. Like, yeah.
Exactly.
If we gonna talk, we gonna have to talk. But yes, I think be patient with yourself and find some curiosity when it's really hard to find a lot of romance. Just be curious about what else there is. And you two can also set boundaries with each other. My husband does this thing that I hate. Okay, where he's a morning person. So remember, I told you he wake up at 4 or 5, which means for whatever reason, in the middle of the night, if the baby wakes up at 3 a.m., for him, that's the time. Like I've woken up because the baby is screaming, and I wake up to someone who is fully awake and starts to talk to me. And if anybody knows me, I don't like to talk before like 9:30 a.m. in general. Like if you in my house, I like to just vibe. Just a little head nod. Yeah. We could pour some coffee together, just vibe. I talk for the rest of my day.
What are you talking about before?
What we got to say? What is there to say before 9 a.m.? So especially in the middle of the night, this man will look at me and at 3 a.m. and say, "Oh, what do you think? Should we adjust the sleep schedule plan that we made and this and this and this? And do you think?" And Precious, I'm walking like I have like vivid memories of like I walk into the room, the baby is screaming. He's like, "What's going on? The plan was this. The baby is supposed to do this." Da, 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 da. All I can think is, if you got all this energy, why am I here? Why are both of us up? Why?
Just do it.
So I go get the baby and I'm doing the more warm, soft things. I'm cuddling the baby, getting the baby to stop crying. He's just pacing. Oh, oh, see, yeah, you try to have a third baby. You try to have a third baby. He wanna start an argument at 3:00 in the morning. And I'm like, sir. So let me tell you something about keeping your marriage intact. I ignore all of this and I wait until I'm in my right mind, and I send him an email the next day or a WhatsApp message because this is the work day. And I say, this is I say, "Hello, so I believe I spoke to you in the middle of the night. I would like to remind you that is not the appropriate time to be talking to me. I would like to encourage you to sleep on the couch if you feel the need to interrupt my night shift. And I really will please ask that you do not discuss the sleep training plans with me if it is past, 8 p.m. And he thinks this is so funny. And then we'll put time on the calendar in the middle of the day and we'll talk it out. You know what I'm saying? Because he always jokes that he can't get me to discuss things with him unless he puts time on my calendar. Because he says, if I try to talk to you in the morning, you don't want to talk. If I try to talk to you after you put the kids to sleep, you too tired. I'm like, it's true. So go ahead and put some time on my calendar. Send me an email and we can discuss the sleep plans. But guess what? I have a hard line. You're not going to be talking to me at 3 a.m. That is not in support of us staying married. That's not going to work for me.
Not you hit him with the going forward.
Moving forward, per my last email, okay? We are not going to be speaking at 2 a.m. about planning and organizational logistics. And then I'll tell him, I'm like, I want to be honest. I think you're feeling like a little bit anxious. I think you're feeling a little bit, I know you're nervous. So our second child is much different than the first son. I mean, we thought, oh man, like we're sleep training experts. I mean, this kid slept 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. from the time we sleep trained. Okay. Like, but what we really learned, what I'm learning now with the second one is part of that may be due to the fact that my son is quite energetic. So he gets a lot of energy out during the day. And there's nothing that can stop that. Like, it doesn't really matter what we do. He'll run in circles if he had to. Like, he will get it out. The baby girl, on the other hand, she can chill. So she's not exerting that much energy, and she may or may not be tired. And also, maybe she's not a good sleeper. I don't know. But that was a long way of saying that I fundamentally believe that for your marriage to stay intact, you're gonna have to learn some new tricks, and it's some trial and error, and you're gonna need some support.
Yeah, I like that. Jennifer's situation sounds real nice, though.
It sounds great. Your husband is actually active. For a lot of women, what we hear is that the newborn stage is so difficult because the husband is sleeping. He's sleeping the whole time. Like, she's the only one waking up all night. She's breastfeeding. Everything is on her. And she hasn't slept in, 3 weeks. And she hasn't eaten a full meal. Like, those are the stories I'm used to hearing. And so, yeah, you two, you're actually doing great compared to I think the average newborn experience.
Yeah, very refreshing. Okay, y'all, so we need your help. For our Get It How You Live segment, please send us an email and tell us how you live it. Our email is richmompoormom.pod@gmail.com. Make sure to include your individual and household income, and we'll make sure to give you a fake name unless you specify not to. Then we may read the letter out loud on the show. If you need some inspo, here are some upcoming topics: friendships and navigating other moms, investing and saving while paying for childcare, keeping up with the IG families, social pressure and comparison. So before we close out, let's take a moment for gratitude. Jamelle, what are you grateful for this week?
Yeah, I am really grateful for the mentors that I have in my life, especially the married couples who really have stepped in and given us support and advice when we needed it. Yeah. Precious, what are you grateful for this week?
I am grateful for that baby who gave me such an amazing experience. He was just shout out to Munchkin. I love you. Like, we really had a good old time. I'm very grateful for him.
I love that.
Thank y'all for listening to Rich Mom Poor Mom. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it so they know they're not alone. Please show us some love by leaving a review and subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And leave a comment on our Substack or send an email to keep the conversation going. We'll see you next time on Rich Mom, Poor Mom.